Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the KMB Music Den. I'm Keith.
I'm Brad.
There we go. Virtually or in the same room, we're still the same guys.
Yeah.
So, hey, Brad, another brand new release this week. Paul Simon, the master songwriter icon, is back with a new album called Seven Psalms. Now, of course, when I heard the album title, I immediately thought, is this just him kind of doing his own versions of like old hymns or something
Mhm.
like that, or is this original music? What is this? Came to find, of course, that it is an original piece by Paul, and I say original piece because it's kind of like, in a way, like one long song with seven suites, right?
It is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's basically like one of those classical pieces that move through different sections, but it's all part of one piece. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna put you on the spot like I always do. Now,
Sure.
again, though, like we did with Dave Matthews Band, up until the release of this album 2 days ago, what is your experience, level of fandom with not only Paul Simon solo, but Simon and Garfunkel?
Sure. I mean, as far as level of fandom, just middle of the pack. I mean, I enjoy his music, but I don't, I'm not running around grabbing everything he's ever made. But
Yeah,
I have a good background on him. I've listened to a lot of his music. For me, this one, when I put it on, I didn't know what to expect because of it being one long song. And
yeah,
like you said, the title kind of makes you think it's going to be a lot of old hymns, or
yeah.
maybe he's retaking the psalms and putting music to them and singing the psalms. But really, I mean, it is an original piece of music straight through, and I found him to be triumphant at this point for him. I mean, in his 80s, I think,
Perfect word. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, for me, compared to a lot of what I've been hearing from him in the last, and it's not bad music, it
yeah.
just feels like a very, very large step in some sort of direction I don't understand. But this was a great piece of music. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how did you feel about
I'm absolutely blown away by this album.
it? Okay.
I think it is triumphant. There you go again, my
Yeah.
friend. A perfect word to sum up everything I was going to bloviate about and didn't know how to put into a word, and you just did it. So thank you.
Oh, you got it.
Triumphant is the word. Guy who's pushing 80 years old, who did
Hmm.
all the Simon and Garfunkel albums, did all the solo albums, gave us Graceland in the 80s with all the African beats. That was just him. A friend of his gave him a cassette of,
Yeah.
African music, and he was just like, this is cool. I want to go there and, make music with some of the locals. And it was just for the sheer love of music and
Yeah.
experimentation, and it became like a Grammy, like, legendary thing. Which is I love when stuff like that happens, when you're not even trying.
Yep.
But Paul, just to rewind for a moment, for me, Paul is one of my absolute favorite singer songwriters of all time. Um, his, how we always talk about there's elite songwriters,
Oh, yeah.
oh my gosh. I mean, look up elite songwriter in the dictionary, and he's got to have his picture there, with as several other people, of course, but he's in
I
the
would say,
mix.
however, I believe he's underrated. We've discussed over under. To me, I mean, obviously, you got the Simon Garfunkel thing, and a couple of those songs are legendary. But Paul on his own, I don't think he got quite the recognition he should be getting, because you're right, he is absolutely fantastic. This one put me in a position where I didn't realize how good he was until I heard this album and went, "Oh man, I
Now,
wasn't sure he was capable of this." Like,
you've only had a couple of days, but did it, as you after you listened to this, did you
mhm,
start to go back and listen to some of his other solo stuff yet?
yeah,
Or yeah,
absolutely,
me too, me
yep.
too. Um, Gosh, I have so much to. I'm actually I'm emotional on this one, man, because I have so much to say about this album, but I feel like I don't have the right words because um, this is clearly a man who is an
Mhm.
intelligent, accomplished man, a very talented man who understands that he's nearing the end of his life. Okay. So, you know, to make a piece of music like this, and like you said, it's like a modern classical piece of music.
It is.
Um, this song, I mean, this album, excuse me, with the suite of seven movements, it kind of takes us through the journey of life in like 30 minutes,
Hmm.
and all the different things about the two hitchhikers, and then at the end where he's saying, to come home. Um, and it says something near the end of one of the lyrics. It says something about Heaven, um, Heaven feels almost like home.
Hmm.
And I thought that was great because,
Yeah.
he's always got that little bit of cynicism or that little bit of
Hmm.
looking at something from the side instead of straight on, if that makes any sense. Where most writers would have written heaven is home or heaven is
Yeah.
like home. And Paul tells us heaven is almost like home.
Hmm.
And that could mean 10 different things to 10 different people.
Yeah.
But that is a very small, I'm zoning in on a very microscopic moment of a true genius of a songwriter.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It makes me a little nervous, though. I mean, we see so many amazing works by artists in their later ages, right before they leave us,
Black
that
Star.
are yeah, Black Star, Leonard Cohen with his "You Want It Darker."
Yeah.
There's so many fantastic albums come out right before the end of an artist leaving us, and
Yeah.
that are just really spot on and really like they've come into an acceptance of who they are and what they're wanting it for when they're leaving, and this was beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful.
I I am absolutely going to get this album on vinyl.
Oh, sure.
No question.
Yep.
And it's funny. Friday, I was out running errands and I stopped at Barnes and Noble, and I had it in my hand, but I hadn't even listened to the album yet. I had it in my hand, and I'm like, 28 bucks or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I didn't even hear it yet. I'm not gonna buy this, because you're like, well, you can always stream it or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, at this day and age. But dude, I after the first time I heard it, I was like, this is going in the vinyl collection because
Yeah.
not only, if that very sad, horrible day comes when we lose Paul Simon on this earth,
Sure.
this is what I'm listening to.
Oh, absolutely. There's certain
And
albums that are like milestones and markers and aren't just music. They're I don't know what word would you use for that? Where they're almost like paintings of like
yeah,
just this is one of those albums where it's like you gotta
yeah,
have it, like Black Star, like you said, where it's like there's just something bigger than music with it,
yes,
and he created that.
yeah,
Yes.
and that goes back to your triumphant word too.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a monument, may not be the right word, but this is a testament to life and
Oh yeah,
death. It's an acceptance of
it
both.
is. Acceptance is a great word for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hmm.
And and I'm really like this album is really important. And let me tell you something. I'm really, really, really upset about this. And I don't know if there's something that I missed about how he
Oh
wanted to release this album. But when I go, every Friday morning I go to iTunes and I check the new music and I go through the
yeah,
list just to see, make sure we're not missing anything or
sure.
whatever. This album's not on there. This album's not listed on the new releases on iTunes. Now
What?
it's on my Apple Music.
Yeah.
I have unlimited Apple Music on my cell phone plan. So it's on there. Now I
Well,
did
let me
notice
ask
that.
you:
Go ahead.
do you think it's because of the length? Do you think this is considered an EP?
Who cares? I mean,
Well, I agree. I
Paul
agree.
Simon,
Yeah.
Paul Simon put
Yeah.
out a new album. I don't care if it was two
Yep.
songs that were 3
Yep.
minutes each. And then you got, all the ones you would expect to see, and Kesha, whoever's at the top, which
Yeah.
is fine, which is fine. But it's not even on the list.
That's bad. That's sad.
That's insulting.
It is. It is.
It's insulting. Um, and I noticed that there were no pre-release singles because it's like one long piece of music.
Yeah.
But even the day before, Thursday, before this album dropped on Friday 2 days ago, you couldn't even add it on my Apple Music. So it was
Oh,
just like he didn't want any, he just wanted to come out the day it came out and like here it is. But to me, that doesn't explain why it's not on the list of new releases on iTunes for this past Friday. I think
I
that's
don't. I don't mess with iTunes, so I don't know.
and please, someone, maybe there's some reason that I'm missing, and correct me if I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong because this is such a disservice to this icon to not even be on the list. I mean, I was really, really, and still am, as you can tell, upset about that. Because some people might miss it. Paul Simon fans might miss it.
That's true. That's true. I
And
didn't know
it's
it coming
like
out.
this is This is a very, very important album. I mean, this is an important piece of music.
Hmm.
This not only this is so fantastic and so well done, and his guitar playing. Can we talk about his guitar?
Oh, insane.
I
So good.
mean, eh,
I didn't know the level of musicianship he had. Like
that's
that's impressive.
that's what this album. And
Hmm.
maybe I didn't research too much as far as was it recorded during COVID, or was this where he was like, well, I can't get together with people, so I'll just make this. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe he made it recently, quickly after COVID. So and we're told it's over, whatever. So you know, but I just and I'm sorry, I mean, I'm doing a lot of stuttering and stammering, but
Well,
I'm
I'm
so
glad. I mean, you can tell you really enjoyed this.
yeah, it's
And
breathtakingly beautiful. It's supremely important album.
mhm.
Um, if this is his last album, and if I were Paul Simon, I wish, but if I were Paul Simon and I just released this, I'm done. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like,
It's a
I'm
walk
just
off.
in, yeah,
It's a
and
walk
that's
off
that's
home
my
run.
walk off. That's
Yep.
my David Bowie Black Star.
Yep.
That's my that's my exit.
Beautiful.
And
Yep.
yeah, I mean, lyrically, oh my God,
Hmm.
just it's about, like I said, it's about life and death and the
Yep.
acceptance and appreciation for both.
Yeah.
Um, and and here's the great thing. Here's the great thing. So many artists, when they get up into their golden years, they write about this kind of shit because that's where they
Oh,
are.
sure.
They're
Yeah.
looking down the tunnel. Okay, let's be honest. Let's be real.
Yep.
We all have a certain shelf life,
Hmm.
and he's pushing 80, and he knows it, and it's like I
Yep.
said, it's accepting of it. But so many artists, when they get older and they're still making music, um, they address these topics, but the lyrics are usually very on the nose and too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too in your face, too
Yep.
direct. And now some of this is very direct if you think about it, what he's talking
It
about.
is. Yeah.
But it's done in such a beautiful, poetic, like you said, it's a classical piece of music. I mean, if he released this, I mean, it would be nowhere near as
Hmm.
grabbing me. But if he released all this music and this guitar playing as an instrumental work, I would love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, wow,
But
the
like you said,
lyrics and his
this
voice. Yeah.
when you're a poet like he was to begin with, and back when he was in his 20s, 30s, and 40s, the things were, that were big to him were relationships and life. And
Yeah.
sure, he wrote beautiful songs about that. And like you said, now that you're in your 80s, the things that you think about are more larger scale.
Yeah.
And he's still a poet. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Just wow. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I wasn't sure what to expect either. Seven Psalms,
Yep.
when I saw the title, I heard he was coming out with a new album, and I was like, yes. Because his more recent albums, he hasn't dropped, Stranger to Stranger, So Beautiful or So What. If you're
Yep.
not as familiar with some of the later period stuff, Brad, or our viewers, God, I mean, there's some really great
There
songs
is.
on those albums.
Yeah.
Really great songs. That In the Blue Light thing he did, I'm not as familiar with that. I don't know if that's covers. I think I don't know. I have to look into that because if he did it, it's great. So I slept on that one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, if he did everything he did with Simon and Garfunkel and just hung it up, he'd still be an icon. But I mean,
He
look,
would.
look, look at all he's done since.
Yep.
And what are your thoughts on how his voice is holding up at his age when you hear this
He
album?
sounds, like I said, the whole album's fantastic.
Yeah,
The musically, vocally, lyrically. I mean, like you said, to me, he hit a home run, and I mean, there's not much more to say about it.
oh, yeah, could be his walk off home run if he decides it to be. Yeah,
I mean, at this point, it's going to be hard to top
yeah,
unless he's staying in
yeah,
the same road. Maybe he has seven more songs that
yeah,
he's going.
yeah,
And hey, I don't doubt it would be fantastic.
yeah. But lyrically, the way that this one ends with the coming home and
Oh yeah.
amen at the end. I mean, it's a it's a perfect walk off home
Yep.
run for him in my opinion. Beautiful swan song.
Yep.
And again, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to bury the guy.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, people, like you said, everybody does eventually go, and when you
Yeah,
start hitting your 80s, 90s, you're in that zone.
yeah,
So a lot of these albums that come out like that, like Bowie's and like Cohen's and like Simon's still here with us, but they're so beautifully done because there's so much thought being put into where they're at in life.
Yeah. And
And at 40 and 50, we don't get it yet, you know?
yeah, yeah, and speaking of guys that are up in their golden years, I'm real excited. Coming out soon. I don't know the exact date offhand, but
Hmm.
John Mellencamp has a new album coming out,
Okay.
and I heard the first song that was released, and it's fantastic. It's
Yep.
fantastic, and this is kind of what I just touched upon in the Dave Matthews Band video, but it fits more in this video.
Yeah.
These guys that are in their 70s, some in their
Yep.
80s, like Dylan, are
Oh, yeah.
still creating
Masterpieces.
music. And yeah, yeah, exactly. Masterpieces, not
Yep.
just, oh, isn't that cute? They love to do it
Yeah.
so much. They're still trying. They can barely sing or barely play anymore. But no, 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 no. That's not what's
Yep.
happening with Bob Dylan. It's not what's
No.
happening with Paul Simon. It's not what's
No.
happening with John Mellencamp or Neil Young. But
No.
Neil, I don't know. But I don't know. Some of the more recent Neil stuff is
Yeah. It's a little touchy.
we could talk about that another
Yeah.
day. But when he puts out another album, which it'll be in a couple weeks, I'm sure. We
Yeah.
can talk about that. but dude, I'll tell you what, I am so happy. I wasn't sure how much of a Paul Simon fan or how much you knew of him going into this,
Hmm.
and I wasn't sure what you would think of this because it's very, a lot of it's very
Yeah.
sparse, very spiritual. It's very,
I love it.
yeah. I didn't know. It's kind
Yep.
of, I don't want to say it's a love it or hate it album because I don't know
Oh,
if
no.
anyone hate this, but
Yeah. You can't hate that.
but yeah,
To hate this album, you would really just have to be a very upset, angry human being that he does not appreciate art or.
yeah.
I mean, there's just too much positive in this album to find a
Yeah.
fault in it.
Well, and to me, and I thought about this, but I don't know if I'm right about this, and I don't know. Maybe you could speak to this. Are you familiar with the album Astral Weeks by Van Morrison?
Slightly, not
Okay,
in depth.
because this, in a very different way, but this kind of reminded me of Paul Simon's Astral Weeks, which sounds weird to say because Astral Weeks is very off the cuff, and
Mhm.
him just kind of like coming up with stuff on the fly and very like free form
Yeah,
jazz with like you know, but and this is very obviously very thought out, very structured, 7 movements in 7 psalms, but I think the reason I liken it to Astral Weeks is just because it's his album that is like you've got Graceland, you've got there goes Rhyme and
mhm.
Simon, you've got
Yeah,
Rhythm of the Saints, Still Crazy After All These Years. That what every artist should have, which an album is simply just a collection of great songs, right?
yeah,
But this is its own little left turn here. This is something unique and different.
yep. I agree.
Yeah. So, folks, yeah, I mean, I would talk all night about this, but these videos can't be 2 hours long or nobody will watch them. So please let us know what you think, Paul Simon fans. If you just have a kind of a surface knowledge of Paul Simon, and I know some of the Simon Garfunkel, I know some of the Graceland stuff. Check this out. I mean, this guy deserves a lot more respect than he's getting. Like I
I
said,
agree.
whole bullshit where he wasn't even listed on the new releases. So, and again, someone correct me if I'm wrong or enlighten me on the comments because I'm really curious as to what the fuck happened with that. Um, but Paul, we see you, we hear you, and thank you. Because this album to me is monumentally important, and not only do I will I see myself, like I said, if and when that sad day comes, Paul, if you leave us, and go on to a better place. I could see myself definitely grabbing this album, but I could also see myself grabbing this album when people that are very close to me personally leave us.
Mhm.
I think this is an album that I'm going to return to in those tough moments in my life because it just,
It's a
like I
comfort
said,
album.
yeah, it's a comfort album. Yeah, that's a great way to. You always say things. You always take what I'm trying to say in like 8 sentences and
Put
put
it
it in
in
one
one word.
word.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It should just be the B music then.
the videos be 2 minutes long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. They would be. Thanks to me, they're like 30.
yeah,
But
yep.
anyway, folks, let us know. For Brad, oh, I figured it out. Had a point on Zoom. For Brad, uh,
I'm Keith.
I'm Keith, and this is the KMB Music Den. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. Do you see someone walking behind me? By the
There's
way,
someone in your yard, man.
yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
hope they're just on the sidewalk. um, but subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 300 subscribers, by the way, buddy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we're
That's
well
not
over
bad.
20,000 views now. So thanks to all of you. compared to other channels, these numbers are modest, but you know what? These are our numbers, and we're proud of them.
Yep.
And we just do this because we love music. So,
Yep.
the numbers are what they are. That's just a very, very small piece of the puzzle for us. So thanks again. I'm so glad you love this one, Brad. I'm
Yeah.
floored by it. I get paid on Friday, and I'm going and getting that damn record. I
Good
can't
call.
imagine. Well, what would this sound like on vinyl, by the
Oh, amazing.
way? Yeah. So, all right, guys, let us know what you think. And thanks. Oh, another swig there for Brad. Don't
Oh
worry,
yeah.
folks.
Yep.
He is parked. He is parked in the
Oh yeah.
vehicle.
This is.
Yes.
I'm home.
He's a responsible guy.
Yep.
So we'll see you folks soon. More content, more new releases coming out. Can't wait. And thanks again, Mr. Paul Simon. You absolute genius. Take care, folks.